Welcome back to Under Baobab Skies. Tonight, we journey into the echoing halls of time to meet the Berber nomads, the timeless wanderers of North Africa. Picture the Sahara stretching out before you, a sea of golden sand rippling endlessly under the watchful eye of the sun. To the south, the dunes shimmer like waves, frozen in time, while to the north, the mountains stand tall and proud, their peaks dusted with snow, a stark contrast to the burning desert below. Between these two extremes lived the Berber nomads, a people whose lives were as vast and unrelenting as the landscape they inhabited. For centuries, they roamed these lands, carrying their entire worlds on their backs, their wealth measured in the number of camels they owned, and their history and culture preserved in the ancient songs and stories passed down through generations. Their days were spent in the relentless march across the unforgiving terrain, navigating by the stars and enduring the scorching heat that turned the desert into a furnace. And when the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, they would pitch their tents, huddle around flickering fires, sharing stories and singing songs that echoed with the rhythm of their nomadic life. Theirs was a world of extremes, of blistering heat and bone-chilling cold, of scorching sandstorms and life-giving rains, of lurking dangers and hidden oases, of fierce independence and deep community bonds. They lived on the edge of two worlds, the settled agricultural communities of the north and the nomadic pastoralists of the south. And it was this unique existence that shaped their identity, their traditions, and their very survival. And so, as you settle in, and the fire crackles merrily, casting dancing shadows on the tent walls, let your thoughts drift back in time and immerse yourself in the world of the Berber nomads. Feel the rough texture of the desert beneath your feet, the burning sun on your skin, and the endless sky above you. Let the melody of their voices carry you away as they sing of their struggles and triumphs, their joys and sorrows, their hopes and dreams. For the next few moments, forget your worries and cares, the deadlines and demands of the modern world. Here, by the flickering firelight, all is well. The animals are safe in their enclosures, the tents are sturdy and strong, and the stars, oh, the stars are bright above you, scattered like diamonds on the darkest cloth of night. Look up and lose yourself in their twinkling beauty, for they have witnessed the lives of countless generations of nomads before you. Listen now as the story begins. It is a tale as old as time itself, a story of courage, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of a people who have called the Sahara home for centuries. In the heart of the Sahara Desert, where the sun beats down relentlessly and the wind whispers tales of distant oases, there lived a tribe of Berber nomads. For generations, they had traversed these golden dunes, following ancient pathways that snaked through the undulating landscape like the veins of a leaf. Their lives were as nomadic as the desert winds, as transient as the shadows cast by the shifting sands. They were a close-knit community, bound together by the shared hardships of their nomadic existence. Men, women, and children alike were skilled riders, able to navigate the treacherous terrain with ease. Each member of the tribe had a role to play in their survival. The men, with their weather-beaten faces and keen eyes, were the hunters, tracking elusive prey across the dunes. The women, adorned in colorful veils and flowing robes, were the gatherers, foraging for edible plants and herbs that grew in the most inhospitable of places. And the children, with their infectious laughter echoing across the desert, were the future, learning the ways of the nomads from their elders. Their days were filled with the rhythmic sway of walking alongside their camels, the gentle rocking of their donkeys laden with precious water skins, and the haunting cries of hawks circling overhead. As the sun began its slow descent, they would set up camp, the tents transforming into islands of refuge in the vast sea of sand. There, around a crackling fire, they shared stories and songs, keeping alive the traditions and history of their people. Yet their peaceful existence was not without its challenges. Raids by rival tribes were a constant threat, forcing them to flee into the safety of the night. Their only companions, the moon and the stars. Droughts and sandstorms tested their resilience, pushing them to the brink of despair. But through it all, they endured, their spirits unbroken, their bond unyielding. Now listen closely as the story continues, for there is more to their way of life than meets the eye. Amongst the Berber nomads, a small group of women held a unique position. They were the market women, responsible for trading essential goods between their nomadic community and the settled populations to the north. Each morning, before the sun had a chance to warm the desert, they would set out on their donkeys, laden with colorful fabrics, aromatic spices, and handcrafted jewelry. Their destination was a bustling market town nestled amidst the foothills of the Atlas Mountains. The journey was fraught with challenges. The winding mountain paths were treacherous, the weather unpredictable, and the threat of bandits always present. But these women were fearless. With each step, they were not just traders, they were ambassadors of their people, ensuring that their community had access to the goods they needed to survive. In the market square, amidst the cacophony of bartering traders and curious onlookers, they would set up their wares, displaying their colorful merchandise with pride. Their knowledge of both the desert and the market was extensive. They knew the value of their goods, the needs of their customers, and the art of negotiation. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the market bustled with activity. Farmers, artisans, and merchants from far and wide came to trade and socialize. The market women, with their easy smiles and quick wit, were not just successful traders, they were also cultural ambassadors, sharing stories and customs between the nomadic and settled populations. Yet their role was not without its challenges. They faced prejudice from those who saw them as outsiders, and the harsh realities of the desert tested their strength and endurance. But these women persevered. Their determination, fueled by their sense of duty to their community and their pride in their heritage. Their importance to their community cannot be overstated. They were the lifeline that connected the nomads to the settled world, ensuring that their needs were met and their traditions remained alive. They were not just traders, they were storytellers, carrying with them the tales and songs of their people from market to market. So, as you sit by the fire, sipping your mint tea and listening to the music of the desert, remember the Berber women who braved the rugged terrains and uncertain markets to ensure the survival of their communities. Their courage and resilience were the threads that wove together the rich tapestry of nomadic life. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support our work, please make sure to subscribe. Your support allows us to continue bringing these stories to life. Until next time, may the warmth of the desert sun be with you and the stars light your path. Imagine yourself in the heart of the Sahara Desert. You are surrounded by endless dunes that stretch as far as your eyes can see. The sun is scorching hot, and the only sound you hear is the wind whistling through the sand. Welcome to the world of the Berber nomads. In this part, we will explore the harsh realities of their existence, which were much more difficult than many people realize. Contrary to popular belief, these nomads did not roam the desert freely, but rather faced constant struggles against thirst, hunger, and the unforgiving environment around them. Water was their greatest enemy. Springs were rare, rivers seasonal, and wells were often claimed by rival groups. Without water, their entire caravan could die within days. So each step they took was a careful calculation, each decision made with the next stop in mind. As you join the nomads on their journey, you will witness their ingenuity and determination to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. You'll see how they rationed their supplies, navigated the treacherous terrain, and defended themselves against those who sought to take advantage of their vulnerability. However, the story doesn't end there. The nomads also had to contend with the dangers of the night, when the desert's fury gave way to boncholim. Cold and the youngest were pressed tightly between the elders to keep warm. But before we dive into this world of adventure and danger, let's take a moment to appreciate the creativity that goes into making videos like these. The team behind this production poured their heart and soul into bringing this story to life, and your support can help them continue their amazing work. Now let us embark on this incredible journey and discover what it really meant to be a Berber nomad. The Tuareg Berbers were known for their distinctive indigo blue robes that flowed around them as they led their camels across the burning sands of the Sahara. These nomadic tribesmen were masters of the desert, able to navigate its treacherous terrain and survive its unforgiving conditions with ease. Picture a caravan of camels, laden with goods, moving across the vast expanse of the Sahara. The rhythmic swaying of the camels' humps is a metronome, keeping time with the relentless sun beating down from above. The Tuareg Berbers, dressed in their iconic blue robes, lead the way, their faces obscured by traditional head coverings. They are the quintessential image of the desert nomad, traversing the shifting sands with an almost supernatural ease. Every inch of the caravan is designed for endurance. The animals, the supplies, and even the humans all move with a practiced grace born from years of navigating this unforgiving terrain. But looks can be deceiving. Beneath this seemingly effortless movement lies a harsh reality of thirst, hunger, and danger. Let us begin our exploration of the nomadic life by examining the most precious commodity in this harsh environment: water. The scarcity of water sources in the desert means that every decision a nomad makes is dictated by its availability. Springs and rivers may seem like natural oases of safety, but they can also be points of contention and conflict. And without proper planning, a nomad's quest for water could easily turn into a race against time. A race they may not win. For example, let us imagine that our caravan has set out from one oasis, only to find another one further down the road. But on the way, they must pass through a valley known to be frequented by rival groups. If the leader fails to anticipate this potential conflict and plan accordingly, his group could find themselves in a desperate battle for survival. Not only would they have to contend with the physical threat posed by the rival group, but they would also be fighting for the precious water resources that lay ahead, each drop becoming more valuable than gold in a desperate bid to stay alive. And this isn't just a hypothetical scenario. History is filled with examples of such conflicts over water resources in desert regions. The leader's foresight, negotiation skills, and strategic thinking are put to the ultimate test in such situations. The fate of the entire caravan hangs in the balance, depending on his ability to navigate the treacherous waters of intertribal relations. But water scarcity isn't just about external threats. It also takes a heavy toll on the internal dynamics of the caravan. Each member must learn to conserve their own water resources, making every drop count in a game of survival. Even the smallest misstep could mean the difference between life and death, underscoring the importance of meticulous planning and individual responsibility. This becomes especially evident when the caravan reaches a waterhole. At such gatherings, men, women, and children engage in a delicate dance of hydration and diplomacy. While everyone's focus is on replenishing their supplies, they must also be cautious of potential conflicts with other groups. The social dynamics shift, alliances are tested, and strategies are formed. All the while, the weight of survival rests heavily on the shoulders of every nomad present. As you continue to observe the Tuareg Berbers on their journey, you notice that the dangers don't end with the scorching sun and the depleting water supplies. The desert's fury also manifests in the bone-chilling cold of the night. As soon as the sun dips below the horizon, the temperature drops dramatically, turning the desert into a different kind of battleground. Under the blanket of darkness, the once familiar landscape transforms into a menacing maze of shadows and chilling winds. The playful rustling of the desert wind turns into a haunting lullaby, whispering tales of hardship and survival to those who listen closely. Huddled inside their tents, the nomads seek refuge from the biting cold. Rough wool blankets offer the only protection from the elements, forcing families to huddle close to their elders for warmth. The youngest members of the community become precious bundles of warmth, nestled between the weathered bodies of their ancestors, drawing strength from their presence. But even within the relative safety of their tents, the nomads cannot escape the constant struggle for survival. The cold seeps into every crevice, chilling the air they breathe and the ground beneath them. The crackling of a small fire is the only thing that breaks the silence. And every log that is burned is a precious resource that must be carefully rationed. The desert's capricious nature means that the temperature can swing wildly, offering no respite from the harsh conditions. One moment you're basking in the warmth of the sun, and the next you're battling the icy grip of the desert night. And as if the thirst, hunger, and bone-chilling cold weren't enough, the nomads also have to contend with the threat of raiders. These unwelcome guests arrive unannounced, armed and ready to disrupt the fragile peace of the desert. The nomads' defenses are limited, and the raiders' sudden attacks leave little time to react. Scattered across the vast emptiness of the desert, the nomads are often caught off guard, forced to flee with whatever they can carry. Once again, the caravan's leader must step up, coordinating a defense that utilizes every available resource. Every spear, dagger, or old rifle becomes a vital tool in the fight for survival. Women and children often find themselves in the most vulnerable positions, forced to scatter or huddle together for protection. Meanwhile, men form desperate lines to defend their families and their meager possessions. Fear becomes a constant companion, lurking around every bend and over every dune. For the nomads, there is no telling when the next raider will strike, leaving them with nothing but the endless expanse of the desert and their burning campfire for company. Despite these hardships, the Berber nomads have developed an intimate understanding of the desert, one that allows them to thrive in an environment that seems inhospitable to life. They read the winds to predict sandstorms and note the behavior of their camels to sense the presence of water. The stars become their guide, allowing them to navigate vast distances with astonishing accuracy. While outsiders perish, the nomads endure. Guided by generations of accumulated knowledge and ancestral paths etched into their DNA, their resilience is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to adapt and survive in even the most challenging conditions. Yet this very resilience is also a source of tragedy. The nomads' ability to thrive in the desert's harsh environment means that they often face hostility from outsiders who fail to comprehend their way of life. The nomadic lifestyle becomes a double-edged sword, allowing them to survive in the unforgiving desert, but also setting them apart from settled populations. This isolation only deepens the mystery surrounding the nomads, fueling outsiders' fascination and fear in equal measure. As you come to the end of your journey with the Tuareg Berber nomads, you realize that their way of life is a delicate balance between hardship and resilience, danger and survival. You've witnessed their ingenuity in navigating the desert's challenges and their tenacity in the face of adversity. You've seen how they transformed the harsh environment into a home, finding beauty amidst the unforgiving terrain. But you've also experienced the constant struggle that defines their existence. The thirst, the cold, the raids, and the loneliness are not just elements of their journey, but threads woven into the fabric of their lives. As you say goodbye to these enigmatic people, you carry with you the memory of their struggles and their triumphs. Their story becomes a reminder of the strength of the human spirit and the adaptability of life in the most extreme environments. Perhaps most importantly, you come to understand the true meaning of resilience. The Tuareg Berbers embody a way of life that is constantly tested by the desert's whims, where survival is a daily achievement and every sunrise is a victory. Their story serves as a powerful metaphor for anyone facing their own battles, a testament to the indomitable spirit that resides in all of us. The desert does not forgive weakness. As nomads drifted along their paths of survival, they lived with the quiet knowledge that raiders could strike at any time. In the Sahara, to move with animals and goods was to carry a beacon, a signal to bandits that wealth, even modest wealth, was within reach. A sudden attack could unravel months of careful planning, snatch away flocks, or spill blood in the dust. Raids were not always random. They could come from rival clans, testing old grudges. They could be orchestrated by settled towns, eager to seize the mobility and knowledge of the nomads. At times, even allies could betray one another when desperation outweighed loyalty. In such a world, the Berber nomad walked with one hand on his herd, the other on his blade. For the Berbers, life in the Sahara was a precarious dance between the sun's harsh glare and the moon's faint glow. Their nights were filled not only with the whisper of the wind, but the rustle of danger. Under the vast canopy of stars, they were never truly safe. It is an ancient story. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the Sahara sky with hues of fading embers, the Berbers would settle for the night. Around a meager fire, their faces etched with the day's journey, they would recount tales that had been passed down through the ages, stories of survival against all odds of battles fought and won against the merciless elements and the raiders who haunted their paths. Each story was a testament to their resilience, a reminder of the unforgiving world they inhabited. Yet there were some nights when the very stars seemed to conspire against them. Those were the nights when the desert raiders struck, their silhouettes stark against the pale moonlight. The air would crackle with tension as the nomads, armed with spears and swords, formed a protective circle around their women and children. The raiders, mounted on swift steeds, would close in, their eyes gleaming with the promise of plunder. There were nights when the clash of steel echoed across the dunes, mingling with the terrified bleating of the herds. Those were nights when the Berbers fought with the ferocity of cornered lions, defending their way of life, their families, their very survival. And there were nights when the balance tipped, when the raiders proved too strong, too cunning. Those were nights when the desert claimed its own, when the wind carried the mournful cry of the widow and the orphan to the cold embrace of the stars. Theirs was a world where every sunrise was a victory, every sunset a gamble. Yet they endured, their spirits unbroken, their determination to survive a beacon in the gathering dusk. But the desert's dangers were not limited to the nocturnal raids. Hunger was the constant shadow. The desert offered little, and when herds faltered, people faltered too. Goats, camels, and sheep gave milk and meat, but only if they survived. A failed season, a poisoned well, or a disease that swept through the animals meant empty bellies. Children's laughter could quickly give way to hollow cries. To combat this, nomads carried dried dates, barley and milk curds, provisions that could sustain them when the land offered little. But these were not feasts. These were lifelines. When the supplies dwindled, the Berbers resorted to chewing leather straps, anything to keep their bodies from wasting away. It wasn't food, but it kept the jaws working, tricking the body into thinking food was coming. And the desert wind carried not only sand, but the ache of hunger, a soundless pressure that eroded hope. It's a haunting image, the relentless march of hunger against the backdrop of the unchanging dunes. However, even in the harshest of landscapes, the human spirit finds a way to persevere. The Berbers, with their deep understanding of the desert's rhythms, managed to eke out an existence where others would have withered away. They knew how to read the subtle signs of the land, how to find water where others saw only sand, and when the going got tough, they had their traditions to fall back on. Storytelling became a nightly ritual, each tale a shared breath in the darkness, keeping the despair of the present at bay. The stories wove a tapestry of shared history, reminding them of their ancestors' struggles and triumphs, binding them together in the face of adversity. In the heart of the Sahara, where the sun relentlessly blazed and the wind whispered tales of hardship, the Berbers found solace in the shared silence of a story well told. Even in survival, there was social marginalization. Too many settled people, the nomad was seen as uncivilized, a drifter without a home, a shadow who owned no stone house, no irrigated field. Markets relied on nomads for salt, hides, and desert goods, yet the same traders mocked their accents and bargaining ways. Nomads were essential to the economy, but excluded from the status it conferred. The desert made them resourceful, but society made them outsiders. Marriage alliances with townsfolk were often frowned upon, and nomads could be barred from legal protections that townsmen enjoyed. To be Berber and nomadic was to walk the line between respect for resilience and contempt for rootlessness. Imagine the scene: a bustling marketplace, a riot of colors, sounds and smells. Amidst the throng, a lone Berber woman sits apart, her weathered face framed by a veil. Her baskets hold treasures of the desert, salt and hides, hard-earned commodities in a land where survival is a daily triumph. Yet, as she offers her wares, the other traders, swathed in fine robes, ignore her. They turn up their noses at the desert dust clinging to her clothes, the calluses on her hands, the sun-baked leather of her goods. They see her as an outsider, a symbol of a life they deem uncivilized, a relic of a past they'd rather forget. This marginalization cut deep, a constant reminder that the desert's bounty was not their own, that their resilience was admired but not valued. It was a bitter pill to swallow, a silent insult that stung more than any whip. The desert tested them, but society pushed them to the edge. It forced them to be vigilant, not only against external threats, but against the slow erosion of their identity, their dignity. Still, despite the prejudice, the Berbers held their heads high. They knew the value of their hard-earned goods, the sweat and toil that went into every piece of leather, every crystal of salt. They carried the stories of their ancestors in their eyes, the resilience of generations past etched in their features. They didn't need the approval of those who looked down on them. They had each other, their shared struggles forging a bond stronger than any societal barrier. Their dignity was not defined by the sneers of bigoted traders, but by the respect and camaraderie that existed between them. Theirs was a silent rebellion, a quiet defiance against a world that sought to diminish them. For the Berbers, the desert was more than just their home. It was a testament to their strength, a silent witness to their dignity. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the desert sky blazed with hues of burnt umber and crimson, the Berbers gathered around their campfire. Their faces, etched with the hardships of a nomadic life, were illuminated by the dancing flames. They were far from the jeering traders, from the disdainful glances of those who considered them less than. Here, in the heart of the Sahara, they were simply human beings, trying to navigate the complexities of a world that often seemed determined to keep them down. And in their shared silence, they found strength, a silent understanding that transcended the boundaries of language and custom. For the Berbers, the desert was not just a place of survival, it was a crucible of the human spirit. It was a place where they had to be constantly on guard, not just against the elements, but against the apathy and prejudice of a world that failed to understand them. And in that struggle, they found their identity, their dignity, and ultimately, their humanity. Berber nomads, they're probably one of the most badass cultures on Earth. They have been living in the Sahara Desert for thousands of years. It's hot, it's dry, it's windy, and there isn't much food or water. But somehow, these guys survive. So what's their secret? Well, it's simple. They adapt. They adapted to the desert's harshness by turning its challenges into opportunities. Amid the harshness, one truth rose brighter than the desert sun. The Berber nomads survived because they adapted. The desert was cruel, yet it became their teacher. Where others saw only endless sand, the nomad saw a living map. Valleys that held secret wells, stars that marked hidden paths, dunes that whispered where caravans had passed before. Survival required not only courage, but also the patience to read what the desert was willing to reveal. Children were taught from a young age how to listen for the faint trickle of underground water, how to track the hoofprints of camels in shifting sand, how to turn scarcity into possibility. The nomads observed the subtle signs of nature, understanding that the very essence of survival lay in paying attention to detail. For instance, they learned to identify certain types of plants that indicated the presence of underground water. By studying the delicate dance of these desert flora, the nomads could locate oases and sustain themselves in the heart of the arid expanse. Moreover, they became adept at reading the footprints left behind by animals, especially camels, whose paths often led them to sources of water. By following these tracks, the nomads could significantly increase their chances of finding water for themselves and their animals. The ability to transform the scarcity of the desert into a map of survival was a testament to their deep understanding of their environment. Each sunrise brought a new opportunity to decipher the secrets of the sands, ensuring that no inch of the desert remained truly barren. To live as a nomad was to weave endurance into every gesture, every step, every breath. This endurance wasn't just physical, it was a profound acceptance of the desert's rhythm, an understanding that life here was measured not in fleeting moments, but in the slow, steady march of the seasons. The nomads found solace in the repetition of daily tasks, in the familiar routines that marked the passage of time. These routines became anchors in the shifting sands of their existence, providing a sense of stability in an ever-changing landscape. Take, for example, the milking of the goats. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the nomads would gather their goats, their bleating echoing in the stillness of the twilight. The process of milking became more than just a chore. It was a shared ritual that bonded the family members together. As the milk flowed, stories were exchanged, plans were made, and the day's hardships were recounted. It was a moment of unity in the vastness of the desert, a reminder that they were not merely enduring, they were thriving in the face of adversity. Another ritual was the preparation of their meals. Every grain of couscous, every morsel of dried meat was a testament to their resourcefulness. The nomads didn't just eat to satisfy hunger. They celebrated sustenance. Each dish was a victory over the desert, a celebration of their ancestors' wisdom and their own adaptability. Meals weren't just about nourishment, they were about community, about sharing, about passing down traditions that had sustained their ancestors for generations. Perhaps most importantly, they developed a deep connection with their animals, especially camels. Camels weren't just beasts of burden, they were partners in survival. The nomads understood the camels' needs, their habits, their language. This bond allowed them to navigate the desert with ease, carrying on trade and cultural exchanges across vast distances. The camel became a symbol of their resilience, a living embodiment of the nomadic spirit that refused to be confined by the harsh realities of the desert. And in the midst of this challenging environment, the nomads found beauty. The vastness of the sky, the play of light on the dunes, the resilience of desert flora, all spoke to their enduring spirit. This wasn't just a land of hardship. It was a land of contrasts, of challenges and beauty, of struggle and serenity. And the nomads embraced it all, finding inspiration in the very heart of the unforgiving desert. This resilience wasn't just about physical endurance. It was a testament to the power of community. The nomads weren't just individuals braving the desert. They were part of a collective, a network of families bound together by a shared history, culture, and most importantly, hope. Let's take a closer look at their tents. These tents were more than just shelters. They were symbols of community and adaptability. The nomads lived in groups, typically consisting of several families linked by blood or marriage. Their tents were set up in a way that maximized communal living, allowing families to come together during meals, storytelling sessions, or to share resources. These tents were designed to withstand the harsh desert conditions, offering protection from the scorching sun, biting winds, and the occasional sandstorm. The process of setting up and dismantling the tents was a communal effort, fostering a sense of unity and cooperation among the members. This constant coming together, sharing and cooperating helped them overcome the isolation and hardships of life in the vast, empty desert. It provided a psychological refuge, a space where they could find solace, support, and strength. Within the tent, they weren't just enduring the desert. They were living, thriving, and passing down their traditions for generations to come. But their tents did more than just protect them. They also expressed their identity. The patterns, colors, and materials used in the tents were often a reflection of the family's history, status, and artistic expression. It was a way for them to showcase their individuality while living in a seemingly homogeneous environment. Nomadic kids are born with a sense of adventure. They grow up exploring the vast expanse of the desert around them, learning its secrets and navigating its challenges. The desert becomes their playground, their school, and their inspiration. Their games often mimic the tasks and challenges they will face as adults. For instance, they might play at herding animals, imitating the calls of birds, or setting up miniature tents using sticks and stones. These games are not just fun, they are a way to learn and prepare for the realities of their nomadic life. They learn about the desert ecosystem, the behavior of animals, and the importance of resourcefulness. At the same time, they develop problem-solving skills, creativity, and a deep sense of independence. The harsh conditions of the desert also play a role in shaping their games. The scarcity of resources and the unpredictability of the environment force the children to be innovative and adaptable. They learn to make the most of what they have, using their imagination to transform simple materials into tools, weapons, or toys. This ability to adapt and improvise becomes a defining characteristic of the nomadic way of life. shaping the children's mindset and preparing them for the challenges and opportunities that await them in the unforgiving yet beautiful desert. And that brings me to another important aspect of the nomads' adaptation: their mental fortitude. They didn't just endure the harsh conditions of the desert, they found ways to thrive, to find beauty, and to build a rich cultural life. For example, they developed a deep connection with their environment, understanding the rhythms of the desert and learning to live in harmony with its cycles. This connection helped them predict weather patterns, locate resources, and navigate the treacherous landscape. Moreover, they cultivated a strong sense of community, relying on the support and cooperation of their fellow nomads to overcome the isolation and challenges of desert life. They also developed a rich oral tradition, passing down stories, myths, and songs that celebrated their culture, history, and values. These stories served as a form of entertainment, education, and a way to maintain a sense of identity in a harsh and unforgiving environment. Furthermore, they developed a deep appreciation for art, often incorporating traditional patterns, colors, and motifs into their clothing, jewelry, and everyday objects. Art became a means of self-expression, a way to communicate their cultural identity, and a source of beauty in an austere landscape. By embracing these practices, the nomads didn't just survive in the desert. They created a vibrant, resilient culture that has endured for centuries. They found ways to thrive, to find beauty, and to build a rich cultural life. So remember, friends, life is full of challenges and setbacks. But, like the Berber nomads, we can adapt, we can persevere, and we can find meaning in our struggles. We just need to be resourceful, connected, and creative. Thanks for watching. Their hands did not only tend to children or weave wool into cloth, they also kept the caravans alive, balanced the books of exchange, and shaped the diplomacy that allowed men to ride into the desert with courage. When the men marched with camels into the sands, women held the home camps together. But home was not a fixed village. It was a moving tent, a marketplace built in open air, a rhythm of labor that followed the footsteps of trade. They carried knowledge of which oasis would welcome them, which tribe demanded tribute, and which merchant owed last season's debt. In this way, they were not only caretakers, but keepers of the invisible ledger that kept trade routes alive. To truly know the Berbers, one must see them not only as warriors and merchants, but as weavers of a social fabric as intricate as the carpets they crafted by hand. For it was Berber women who wove this fabric, thread by thread, story by story. They knew the language of the land better than any man, for they were the ones who tended to it when the men were far out on the trade routes. When the winds shifted and an oasis bloomed anew, they were there to plant the seeds. When a sandstorm threatened, they were there to secure the tents. Their knowledge of medicinal herbs was as vast as the desert itself, a living pharmacy passed down through generations. Each leaf, each root held a secret, a cure for ailments that could fell a man as swiftly as a viper's fang. Women cared for children and the elderly, sharing stories that were both cautionary and inspiring. Around the flickering firelight, tales of bravery, resourcefulness, and the deep connection to the land were woven into the very soul of the next generation. In a world where men ventured forth to seek fortunes untold, it was the women who anchored the home fires that welcomed them back, should they ever return. For within these tents moved a marketplace in miniature, a world unto itself where goats bleated, dates were weighed, and spices from distant lands were traded. The scent of roasting lamb mingled with the earthy aroma of fresh bread, while haggling over prices echoed like a familiar song. Berber women were not mere spectators in this vibrant bazaar. They were active participants, their voices ringing with the confidence born of necessity. For in a world where men roamed far and wide, it was the women who held the reins of daily life. They tended to livestock, managed resources, and ensured that the wheels of trade continued to turn smoothly. When the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sand, the tents transformed. What had been a bustling marketplace now became a sea of twinkling lights. Glowing lanterns cast dancing shadows on the faces of storytellers, musicians, and poets who wove magic with their words and songs. For the Berber people, darkness was merely a backdrop for their vibrant culture to shine even brighter. It was a time for music, poetry, and laughter, where tales of adventure and romance filled the night. They traded in the necessities of life: food, tools, textiles, all while keeping a watchful eye on the caravans that came and went. Their knowledge of the land and its people proved invaluable, guiding travelers to safety and prosperity. These women were not just wives and mothers, they were partners in a literal sense. They walked alongside their husbands, sharing in both the challenges and triumphs of trade. Yet their role extended far beyond the domestic sphere. They were diplomats, mediators, and peacemakers, their influence transcending the confines of the tent. When conflicts arose, it was the women who often stepped forward to find common ground. Their words carried the weight of tradition and custom, reminding men of their shared heritage and the importance of unity. Through their efforts, countless disputes were settled, fostering goodwill and cooperation among the diverse peoples of the desert. Yet, amidst the harsh realities of a nomadic existence, Berber women found beauty and joy wherever they could. They celebrated religious festivals with fervor, giving thanks to the divine for their blessings and seeking guidance through the hardships of their lives. During such festivities, the desert came alive with drumming, singing, and dancing, transforming the hardships of daily existence into a celebration of resilience and faith. But life on the caravan was not without its dangers. Bandits, raiders, and wild animals lurked in the unforgiving landscape, threatening the safety of the caravans and all who accompanied them. In times of peril, Berber women displayed remarkable courage and resourcefulness. They defended their families and their way of life with unwavering determination. Their skills in healing and their intimate knowledge of the desert provided invaluable support in times of crisis, ensuring that the spirit of survival burned bright within their communities. In the face of adversity, Berber women's strength and adaptability shone through. They adapted to the challenges of their environment, finding solutions to problems that would daunt even the most seasoned traveler. Their ability to endure hardship and their unyielding spirit became a source of inspiration for all who shared their journey. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, the Berber women prepared for the evening. With gentle hands, they milked goats and sheep, their movements as graceful and fluid as the desert winds. The process was more than just a chore. It was a ritual, a communion between human and animal, where the rhythm of milking became a lullaby to soothe both beast and mind. Meanwhile, the remnants of daylight faded into twilight, casting long shadows across the tents. The women gathered around their looms, transforming raw materials into vibrant tapestries that adorned their homes. With each thread, they wove stories of their heritage, their skills in weaving not only providing them with essential goods, but also serving as a testament to their cultural identity. Yet, even as they toiled, they never lost sight of the importance of community. As the stars began to pepper the night sky, the Berber families came together, sharing simple yet nourishing meals under the vast expanse of the desert night. The conversations flowed as easily as the wine, carrying tales of the day's events and the hopes for the morrow. It was a time for bonding, for laughter, and for the exchange of stories that wove the tapestry of their lives. Despite the hardships they faced, Berber women found solace in the rituals and traditions that marked their days. Religious observances were not just acts of devotion, but moments of collective strength, reminding them that they were not alone in the face of life's challenges. The call to prayer echoed across the dunes, uniting the community in a shared sense of purpose and tranquility. However, the harsh reality of their nomadic existence was never far from their thoughts. Water, scarce and precious, had to be rationed carefully, forcing difficult choices and constant vigilance. The threat of sandstorms loomed, threatening to bury their tents and livelihoods under towering dunes. Yet, through it all, the women persevered, drawing strength from their deep connection to the land and each other. The threat of sandstorms was ever present, a constant reminder of nature's raw power over their fragile encampments. With uncanny intuition, the women sensed the shift in winds, the darkening of skies, the telltale whirlwinds that heralded these furious tempests. At the first sign of trouble, they sprang into action, securing tents, protecting livestock, and ensuring that every member of the caravan was prepared for the onslaught. Amidst the fury of the storm, they huddled together for safety, their combined strength offering a fragile shield against the elements. When the tempest finally subsided, revealing a world transformed by swirling sands, it was the women who led the recovery. They cleared debris, nursed injured animals, and rebuilt their lives brick by precious brick. Throughout these trials, their resilience was a beacon, guiding their communities through the darkest hours and reminding them that even in the harshest environments, life, like the desert flower, finds a way to bloom. The vast expanse of the Sahara Desert holds within its golden dunes a story of resilience, strategy, and survival. The tale of the Berber caravans. While history often highlights empires and kingdoms, the true pulse of a region beats in the stories of its people, especially those who dared to navigate the unforgiving terrain of the desert in search of prosperity. It is within this context that we meet the Berbers, a nomadic tribe whose very existence was intertwined with the rhythm of the desert. For them, trade was more than just an economic activity. It was a dance with danger, a negotiation with the elements, and a testament to human endurance. Their caravans, stretching as far as the eye could see, were not just convoys of trade, but living, breathing entities, carrying with them the hopes, needs, and desires of multiple civilizations. To truly understand the significance of Berber trade, one must first grasp the challenges they faced. The Sahara was not just a backdrop, it was an active participant in the drama of survival. Each step of the way, the caravans had to contend with relentless sun, shifting sands, and the ever-present threat of starvation or dehydration. It was a test of both endurance and strategy, where success meant not just reaching the destination, but doing so with minimal losses. Yet, the Berbers did not just succumb to these challenges, they thrived despite them. They developed intricate systems of organization, planning routes that maximized the use of scarce resources and establishing supply points to ensure their survival. Their knowledge of the desert was not just practical, it was intimate. They read the subtle signs of the dunes, the language of the wind, and the whispers of the stars, all to ensure that their caravans made it through safely. But the desert was only half of their challenge. For alongside the physical hardships, there was a social and political landscape that was equally complex. At every major outpost or oasis, the traders confronted a reality that tested not just their supplies, but their skills and diplomacy. Taxation, in its various forms, loomed large. Sometimes it was a simple toll, a price to be paid in coin or goods to gain passage. At other times, it was more ambiguous, a promise of future deliveries or an agreement to carry messages. Imagine, if you will, a caravan leader arriving at a checkpoint, haggling over prices, assessing the chieftain's body language, gauging the temper of the crowd. His decisions in these moments were crucial, affecting not just his immediate standing, but the safety of his entire convoy. To succeed in such situations, the Berber merchants needed more than just an understanding of the local dialects. They had to become students of human nature, able to read faces, interpret gestures, and predict reactions. This was the true test of their mettle. To survive in an environment where danger lurked not just in the shadows of the dunes, but in the eyes of fellow humans. And then there were the markets themselves, not just places to buy and sell, but arenas of social interaction. When caravans arrived at bustling hubs like Timbuktu, Sijil Massa, or other trade centers, they did not just bring goods, they carried with them letters of credit, tribal endorsements, and personal oaths of conduct. These served as social currency, a way to build trust in a world where written laws were scarce and personal relationships were paramount. Picture a bustling marketplace, merchants from distant lands, each with their own customs and languages, all gathered to exchange not just goods, but stories, alliances, and information. The Berber merchants had to be adept at this social game, knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to offer a helping hand. A wrong word could incite a fight, a hasty gesture could offend, and a missed social cue could ruin a deal. It was a delicate dance, but one that was essential to their survival and prosperity. Furthermore, the caravan itself was a microcosm of society. Within this organized community, every member had a role. Every task was important. Scouts moved ahead, constantly on the lookout for dangers or signs of life. Guards flanked the edges, protecting the vulnerable from external threats. Women maintained the camp's pulse, ensuring supplies were ready and the fires kept burning. Children assisted where they could, learning the ways of the desert and the trade. It was a society in motion, adapting and responding to the constant challenges of the desert. And within this framework, there were countless opportunities for success or failure. A misplaced item could cost a life. A misinterpreted signal could lead to injury, and a moment's lapse in judgment could mean the loss of everything. In this high-stakes environment, the Berbers honed their observational skills to a razor edge. They learned to notice even the smallest details, a shift in the wind, a change in animal behavior, or a flicker in someone's eye. For instance, consider the humble camel, the backbone of the caravans. Its humps were not just sources of water, they were also indicators of the caravan's well-being. A slight droop in the hump could signal a need for water or food, while a sudden swelling might indicate illness. The Berbers observed these signs closely, acting swiftly to address any issue that arose. Such attention to detail was crucial. The fate of the caravan, the safety of its members, and the success of their mission all depended on it. Moreover, the Berbers understood that they were part of a much larger network. Their actions, no matter how small, could have ripples extending hundreds of miles. A friendly interaction with a nomadic tribe could secure safe passage for future travelers. An agreement with a local chieftain could mean the difference between prosperity and ruin. Even a simple trade transaction could contribute to the growth of a town or the decline of another. Their existence was a testament to the power of balance, balancing risk and reward, authority and negotiation, survival and prosperity. In the heart of the unforgiving Sahara, the Berbers didn't just survive, they thrived. They created a system of trade that was a marvel of human resilience and negotiation. Their caravans were not just convoys, they were communities. Their journeys were not just expeditions, they were adventures. And their survival was not just a matter of luck, it was a lesson in balance. A balance that continues to echo through the ages, and with balance comes not just survival, but the potential for greatness. The Sahara Desert, an inhospitable wasteland of shifting sands and scorching sun, is often perceived as one of Earth's most inhospitable environments. And yet, between the 8th and 12th centuries, this very same desert teemed with life. Across its golden dunes trekked long convoys of merchants and their livestock laden with precious cargo. And though you may not see any camels in this picture, if you look closely, you can see them in this one. They are the key to understanding the surprising history of the Sahara Desert and the major reason why today we have hamburgers, pizza, and sweet pickles. I am, of course, talking about salt, often called white gold. And I am here to tell you how salt, of all things, changed the world. So let's start out in the mines of Taudeni, where, under the hot Sahara sun, men hack away at the soft grey rock. You might think that it's silver or gold, but no. These miners are after something much more humble: salt. Back then, they didn't know that salt came from prehistoric oceans, and so instead believed that it fell from the sky like rain and snow, which made it a heavenly gift, a blessing from Allah. After several months of mining, the workers would pack up their flat slabs of rock salt and set off across the desert to one of the main trading cities along the southern edge of the Sahara. These cities included Timbuktu, Sijil Massa, and Gao. While their names may be unfamiliar to you, they were crucial hubs of the medieval trans-Saharan trade routes. To understand what happened next, we need to follow the salt across the Sahara. But before we do, let me ask you this: what do you think? What does salt bring to mind? For me, it's savory fries, juicy burgers, and of course, all those little packets you get with takeout food. Well, salt has been an important seasoning for thousands of years, but back then, it was more than that. In fact, it was the key ingredient to successful kingdoms. It helped them preserve food, mint coins, and maintain large armies. In the Mediterranean, where seawater was everywhere, salt was easy to come by, and every empire, from the Greeks to the Romans to the Arabs, knew its value well. But farther south, things were different. There were vast deposits of rock salt in places like but no sea in sight. So the people of the Sahara had to find another way to get salt to the coast. That's where the caravan trade came in. You probably already know what caravans are, but did you know that the word actually comes from the Latin word carus, meaning cart? Anyway, these groups of merchants traveled together for safety, and each member contributed his particular skills to the enterprise. There might be doctors, accountants, legal experts, hunters, and of course, guards. In fact, hiring bodyguards was essential because the trade route through the Sahara was fraught with danger. Along with sandstorms and bandit attacks, merchants had to contend with political restrictions imposed by the many empires that competed for control of the region. These included the empires of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, and Konam, as well as the various North African dynasties of the Maghreb. And yet, merchants continued to brave the dangers of the desert because the reward was immense. Kingdoms with access to salt could preserve fish and meat, keep their coins from corroding, and maintain standing armies that were larger and better equipped than those of their neighbors. Soon, salt became both a commodity and a currency, a medium of exchange so valuable that it tied distant regions into a fragile but functioning economic web. At the height of the trans-Saharan trade in the 11th century, merchants of Taudeni and other salt-producing regions were making the long trek north multiple times per year. In fact, caravans could be months in the making, consisting of tens of thousands of men, elephants, and camels. Let's follow one such convoy as it begins its journey. The men leading the way are Berbers, a collection of nomadic peoples who lived among the Atlas Mountains. They are expert desert travelers who will guide the caravan across the dunes. And you can see how well adapted they are to the harsh environment. The wide brim of my juba protects them from the sun, while the flowing robes allow for maximum comfort and mobility. At their side, a scimitar, a curved sword, perfect for fighting on horseback or on foot. Now, following behind them are the men who own the caravan, merchants from Segula Massa, a city-state founded by the Almoravid dynasty in the Moroccan Sahara. Their job is to make sure everything runs smoothly. That means accounting for supplies, negotiating with local rulers, and of course, making sure everyone gets to the Mediterranean Sea safely. Finally, bringing up the rear are the beasts of burden, tens of thousands of camels loaded down with blocks of salt. Now it's time to cross the desert. Every morning before dawn, the caravan will rise and set up camp. Everyone pitches in to get the job done, from the merchants to the soldiers to the hunters. And once the tents are pitched, the men will share stories around the campfire, eating dried fruit, bread, and maybe some fish from the oases they passed. It's hard work, but someone must keep watch. If bandits attack, there isn't much time to spare. Some gangs, like the Tuaregs, carried bows and arrows and attacked from afar, while others, like the Kelahagga, preferred hand-to-hand combat. In fact, the Kelahagga were known for charging straight for the salt stores. If they couldn't carry the blocks themselves, they would simply smash them to pieces. But the caravan guards were prepared for just such an eventuality. Many of them were veterans of other merchant caravans or former soldiers. And when the time came, they would form a defensive circle around the salt stores, defending them tooth and nail. Such battles were not uncommon, and sometimes the caravan guards lost. When that happened, the salt would be scattered across the desert, lost forever. That's why the caravan leaders were always willing to pay the tolls demanded by local lords or anyone else who had the power to stop them. After all, the cost of doing business was simply part of the expense. And speaking of expenses, the caravan's leader has to be careful about when he departs. See, traveling in the Sahara is tricky business. Most journeys took place during the dry season, between October and May, but there were risks either way. Departing too early could mean getting caught in a sandstorm, while leaving too late could bring travelers face to face with deadly vipers. Add to that the risk of losing your entire fortune to bandits or corrupt officials, and it's no wonder that only the most skilled caravan leaders succeeded. After weeks of travel, the first settlements begin to appear in the distance. Small villages where weary travelers can restock on food and supplies. Finally, after 2 to 3 months of non-stop travel, the caravan reaches its destination. If they began their journey into Duni, their destination would be one of the great ports of the Maghreb, such as Magadur, Safi, or Es. Here they would meet with merchants from across the Mediterranean, including Italians, Andalusians, and even Vikings. And what did these European merchants want with salt? Simple. They wanted to buy it and take it home with them. In Europe, the demand for salt was high, but the supply was limited. Most Europeans got their salt from local producers or middlemen in the Mediterranean, but those sources weren't enough. As trade with the Islamic world increased, Europeans learned about the massive salt mines of the Sahara and decided to take matters into their own hands. First, the Portuguese tried to monopolize the trade by establishing trading posts along the West African coast. Then the Italians followed suit, dispatching merchant galleys to haul salt across the Mediterranean. By the 11th century, African salt was a major part of the European economy. helping to fuel the growth of powerful city-states like Venice and Genoa. In fact, this trade was so important to the Italians that they created an entire system of weights and measures based on the amount of salt they could transport. This unit was called the quintal, which later evolved into the modern metric ton. And that's right, the Sahara's salt helped shape the modern world in ways big and small. Through these connections, African kingdoms influenced markets from the Mediterranean to Europe, tying them into a wider web of commerce. It also gave them access to new technologies and ideas. For instance, the Berbers adopted Arabic numerals from the Muslims, which helped them keep track of their accounts. Meanwhile, knowledge of Roman law and Byzantine administration found fertile ground among the merchants of Sicily. In fact, some historians believe that the popularity of classical Roman works in medieval Italy was partly due to merchants who picked up copies in North Africa and brought them back home. In essence, these trading cities acted as conduits of culture and economy, carrying not only salt, but also languages, alliances, and even weapons. The transfer of technology went both ways. To take, for instance, the astrolabe, a device used for navigation and keeping time. While it was invented in Greece, merchants in Sicily improved upon it, incorporating new mathematical formulas and astronomical tables that allowed sailors to chart their courses with greater accuracy. As we can see, the caravan trade across the Sahara wasn't just about moving goods from one place to another. It was a catalyst for cultural exchange, technological innovation, and economic growth. Without the Berbers' intimate knowledge of the desert, the departure times calculated by the merchants of Sicily, and the diplomatic skills of the caravan leaders, the vast salt mines of the Sahara might have remained hidden from the world. From the salt mines of Taudini to the kitchens of Europe, it's a story that's as fascinating as it is flavorful. The desert wind carries stories. For millennia, across the vast expanse of the Sahara and beyond, voices have echoed through the timeless tales carried by the dunes. And among the Berbers, those stories were etched in stone and sand long before paper traveled the trade routes. Their script, Tifana, was more than writing. It was a guardian of identity, a silent rebellion against erasure. Berber, one of the oldest known civilizations, has left its indelible mark on North Africa with its rich culture and ancient traditions passed down through generations. Among the many facets of their heritage, the Tifina script holds a special place as a testament to their resilience and adaptability in the face of changing times. Tifina, an ancient alphabet used by the Berbers, is more than just a collection of symbols. It is a window into the soul of a civilization. The word Tifina itself means writing or book in the Tamazight language spoken by the Berbers. This script emerged around the 5th century BC and served as the primary means of communication for the Berbers for over 2 millennia. In an era when literacy was not widespread and most knowledge was transmitted orally, Tifina played a pivotal role in preserving and transmitting Berber history, culture, and beliefs from one generation to the next. Its influence extended to various aspects of Berber life, shaping their identity and way of living. Tifina was a logographic script, meaning that each symbol represented a word or a morpheeme, the smallest unit of meaning in a language. The script consisted of around 30 symbols, each with its unique shape and sound. These symbols were carefully crafted to depict the essence of the word they represented, often incorporating elements from nature or everyday objects. For example, one symbol resembling a bird represented the concept of freedom, while another depicting a mountain symbolized strength and resilience. Such a system of representation not only made the script visually appealing, but also helped to reinforce the cultural values and beliefs of the Berbers. The transmission of Tifina knowledge was a closely guarded secret, restricted to an elite group of individuals within Berber society. Only a select few were entrusted with the knowledge of the script, ensuring its preservation and continuity. This secrecy added an element of mystique to Tefina, making it a powerful tool for maintaining cultural identity in the face of external influences. Over the centuries, Tefina silently bore witness to the ebb and flow of history. It recorded the rise and fall of empires, the triumphs and tragedies of the Berbers, and the ever-changing dynamics of the world around them. Through its enduring presence, Tefina became a silent guardian of Berber heritage. As trade routes expanded and cultural exchanges flourished, the Berbers found themselves at the crossroads of diverse civilizations. This exposure to different cultures brought about significant changes and challenges for the Berbers, including pressure to abandon their indigenous traditions in favor of those imposed by external forces. During this period, the use of Tefina came under threat as colonial powers sought to impose their own languages and systems of writing. However, despite these pressures, the Berbers held fast to their cultural roots. They continued to use Tefina, albeit in secret, passing it down through generations and keeping it alive in oral traditions. This act of quiet resistance was a testament to the unwavering spirit of the Berbers who refused to let their heritage be erased. The forms of the script's symbols are deliberate and simple, yet profound. Triangles, dots, and linear marks were not merely abstract designs, but a secret code whispered across generations. Each symbol had a story to tell, a history to convey, and a message to deliver. For the Berbers, these markings were more than just visual elements. They were a means of communicating complex ideas and concepts that transcended the written word. Imagine a lone traveler traversing the vast expanse of the Sahara, his weathered face etched with the stories of countless journeys. As he sits around a flickering campfire, sharing tales with fellow nomads, he reaches for a smooth stone, its surface worn by the touch of countless hands before him. With a steady hand, he begins to etch shapes into the sand, creating a language without words. These symbols become a visual poem, expressing the poetry of the desert and the rhythm of tribal life. They speak of ancient traditions, ancestral wisdom, and the bond between humanity and the natural world. As the desert wind picks up, carrying the whispers of the ancients, the traveler's companions lean in, their eyes gleaming with understanding. For they recognize that in these markings lies the essence of their cultural heritage. The Tefina script becomes a silent witness to their traditions, values, and beliefs, ensuring that their cultural legacy continues to thrive in the heart of the unforgiving desert. In the bustling souk of Marrakesh, amidst the vibrant colors and aromatic spices, a young Berber woman named Fatima kneels before a weathered leather scroll. Her nimble fingers trace ancient symbols, breathing life into a script that has echoed through generations. Each stroke of her hand tells a story, a legacy that connects her to the nomadic traditions of her ancestors. The leather beneath her fingertips is not just a surface, it is a portal to the past, a canvas where history unfolds. As she writes, the symbols seem to dance before her eyes, transforming into majestic birds, soaring across the azure sky, or rugged mountains, standing tall against the relentless desert winds. These markings are more than just letters. They are visual poems that capture the essence of Berber identity. Fatima's dedication to preserving this ancient script is a testament to her cultural pride. She sees herself as a custodian of her heritage, ensuring that the Tefina script continues to thrive in a world that often overlooks the beauty of tradition. Her passion for her craft ignites a spark of curiosity in the hearts of those who witness her artistry. As tourists and fellow artisans gather around, Eager to learn more about this enigmatic script, Fatima gladly shares her knowledge. She explains how each symbol holds a profound meaning, representing not only words, but also the values and beliefs that have shaped her community for centuries. Her enthusiasm is contagious, inspiring others to appreciate the richness and depth of Berber culture. Through Fatima's dedication, the Tifina script finds new life, captivating the imaginations of all who encounter it. In the remote villages nestled in the Atlas Mountains, an elderly Berber man named Hassan gathers his grandchildren around him. His wrinkled face, a map of his years, crinkles into a warm smile as he begins to share the secrets of his ancestors. His eyes, pools of ancient wisdom, twinkle with the joy of passing on a legacy. Hassan opens a wooden chest, revealing a collection of clay pots adorned with enigmatic symbols. Each pot is a silent storyteller, whispering tales of a bygone era. He carefully picks up a pot, its clay surface cool to the touch, and begins to explain the hidden meanings embedded within its markings. To the young minds gathered around him, these symbols come alive. They transform into protective amulets warding off evil spirits, guiding symbols pointing towards sacred springs, or seals signifying ancestral lineage. Hassan's storytelling weaves magic, transporting his grandchildren to a world where each mark holds both practical and spiritual significance. The children listen with wide-eyed wonder, their imaginations soaring like the mythical birds depicted in some of the markings. They ask questions, eager to grasp the deeper meanings hidden within these ancient signs. And Hassan, the keeper of traditions, patiently guides them, ensuring that each answer sparks their curiosity and deepens their connection to their heritage. As the sun dips below the mountain peaks, casting long shadows across the village, the storytelling comes to an end. But the impact of Hassan's teachings resonates within his grandchildren, forever shaping their understanding of Berber culture. They carry the lessons with them, becoming, in turn, storytellers, ensuring that the timeless wisdom of their ancestors continues to thrive in the hearts of future generations. Even today, the Tifina script persists, defying the sands of time. It echoes in modern contexts, appearing in contemporary art, fashion, accessories, and public spaces. Artists incorporate Tifina symbols into their work, paying homage to their cultural roots and sparking dialogue about indigenous cultures. Designers feature Tifina-inspired patterns in their collections, celebrating the beauty and uniqueness of Berber craftsmanship. Public installations showcase Tifina script, transforming urban landscapes into platforms for cultural expression. The resilience of Tifina is a testament to the enduring power of cultural identity. It serves as a reminder that traditions passed down through generations have the strength to withstand the test of time and continue to shape contemporary expressions. In the heart of a bustling Moroccan city, a modern Berber artisan named Jamal works in his clay workshop. Sunlight streams through the open doorway, illuminating the intricate designs he is creating. With calloused hands, Jamal molds clay into graceful curves, imbuing each piece with the essence of his Berber heritage. As he works, he effortlessly embeds Tifina symbols into the clay, transforming ordinary objects into vessels of cultural pride. A jar becomes a repository of ancestral knowledge. A vase takes on the symbolism of tribal unity, and a plate transforms into a canvas showcasing the strength and resilience of his people. Jamal's creations are not just functional works of art, they are tangible links to his cultural past. Each symbol he imprints on the clay carries with it a story, a history that has echoed through generations. His pieces serve as silent ambassadors, introducing Tifina script to those who may not be familiar with its beauty and significance. As Jamal's reputation grows, his work catches the eye of art enthusiasts and collectors from around the world. They are drawn to the unique fusion of tradition and artistry he brings to his craft. In an age where globalization can sometimes overshadow local traditions, Jamal stands as a beacon of cultural pride. This is a Berber elder. He's sitting in front of his hut, and he's patiently explaining to two young boys how to write in the ancient language of his ancestors, a language known as Tifana. It's getting late in the day. The sun is setting over the Atlas Mountains behind him. This scene might seem unremarkable at first glance. Just a kind old man passing down some knowledge to the next generation. But there's more here than meets the eye. What the old man is doing is helping these kids take their first steps toward adulthood. He's bridging the gap between childhood and maturity, memory and tradition. He's teaching them how to read and write one of the oldest alphabets in human history. And he's doing it without a textbook or a classroom, without any paper or pencil, just a clay tablet and some sticks. Because among the Berbers, learning the alphabet wasn't like going to school. It was a rite of passage, a journey into the heart of their culture. And it all began with a secret. Because learning Tifina wasn't just about mastering letters and sounds, it was about unlocking a hidden world, one that had been passed down for thousands of years, whispered from one generation to the next. Like an oral tradition, knowledge was power, and the Berbers knew that their skills could protect their tribes, mark safe paths through treacherous lands, or signal dangers to those who didn't belong. The ability to read and write their symbols was a tool of survival. They used it to communicate with each other in ways that outsiders couldn't understand, keeping their thoughts and plans hidden from those who might want to do them harm. In a world where being able to read and write meant having access to power, the Berbers found strength in numbers. Their symbols were like a secret language, a code that bound them together and kept their knowledge safe. They wrote on rocks and clay tablets using tools like sticks or their fingers, leaving messages and markings that told stories of survival, lineage, and lore. Each shape carried with it the weight of their history, a legacy that stretched back to the earliest days of their civilization. Imagine a vast, open desert, the wind whipping round you, carrying with it the scent of sand and secrets. The sun beats down on your back as you kneel on a flat rock, tracing shapes in the sand with your finger. These aren't just random patterns, they're symbols, ancient and powerful, whispered to you by the elders. You feel a connection to those who came before you, their spirits dancing in the swirling dust. Around you, the desert stretches endlessly, a canvas for your story, a testament to your resilience. Here, in this timeless landscape, you find yourself part of a lineage that has endured for millennia. As you continue to trace the symbols in the sand, you feel a sense of pride swell within you. This isn't just an alphabet, it's a way of life. It's the essence of your culture, the heartbeat of your people. With each stroke of your finger, you honor your ancestors, their struggles, their triumphs, and their enduring spirit. You are keeping their legacy alive, ensuring that their story continues to be told long after they are gone. The art of writing Tifana wasn't just confined to the desert sands. It found expression in the most unexpected places, like tiny tattoos on fingers or full-sized murals painted on cave walls. It adorned jewelry, textiles, and ceremonial artifacts. Each piece a silent testament to the Berber spirit. It was a way of expressing identity, of communicating stories and beliefs in a visual language that transcended words. It was a celebration of their culture, a vibrant tapestry woven into the fabric of their daily lives. One such apprentice was a young woman named Samira. She lived in a small Berber village nestled in the Atlas Mountains. From a young age, she showed a keen interest in her heritage, eager to learn the ancient traditions and customs of her people. One day, she approached the village elder, a respected member of the community known for his wisdom and knowledge. He was more than just an elder. He was a living archive of Berber culture, and Samira hoped he could teach her about their unique alphabet. When she asked him about the symbols they had been using since time immemorial, he agreed to become her mentor. Together, they would sit for hours under the shade of an old olive tree, the gnarled branches providing a canopy overhead as the elder patiently shared his knowledge. Over the course of many months, Samira learned about each symbol, its meaning, and its social or spiritual significance. She practiced writing them on clay tablets using a stick as a pen, feeling a deep sense of connection to her ancestors as she replicated their ancient markings. But learning Tifana wasn't just about memorizing shapes and meanings. It was about understanding the stories behind them, the history and culture they represented. With each stroke of her stick on the clay, Samara felt a sense of pride and empowerment. She was carrying on a tradition that had been passed down for generations, ensuring that the Berber voice remained alive. Her dedication and passion for her heritage shone through in her work, earning her the respect and admiration of the village elders. When she finished her apprenticeship, she was not just an apprentice anymore. She was a keeper of the ancient tradition, ready to pass on the knowledge to the next generation. Just as the elder had taught her under the olive tree, she too would find a quiet spot under the tree's protective branches, sharing the secrets of Tifana with eager young minds. The cycle of learning and sharing continued, ensuring that the Berber alphabet thrived for centuries to come. In another corner of the Sahara, a skilled Berber artisan sat in his workshop, the air filled with the scent of leather and the rhythmic tap of his knife. His hands, weathered and strong, moved with precision and grace as he carved intricate designs into a pouch. These weren't just decorative patterns. They were symbols, ancient and powerful, each stroke of his knife etching knowledge onto the leather. With each curve and line, he wove a visual narrative, a story that had been passed down through generations. Around him, his apprentices watched intently, their eyes wide with admiration and eagerness to learn. One young man, eager to master the art, stepped closer, trying to mirror the movements of his teacher. The artisan paused, meeting the young man's gaze with a knowing smile. He understood the thirst for knowledge, the desire to preserve a legacy. Gently, he placed the pouch down, gathering the apprentices close. In the quiet of the workshop, surrounded by the tools of their trade, he began to share his wisdom. He spoke of the deep meaning behind each symbol, the history, culture, and traditions they represented. He taught them how to read and write the ancient alphabet, how to decipher the secrets hidden within its lines and curves. The apprentices listened intently, absorbing every word, every lesson. As the day wore on, they practiced under the watchful eye of their teacher, their knives dancing on the leather, creating new designs, new stories. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. But inside the workshop, the glow of shared knowledge illuminated faces, the rhythm of their work a testament to their dedication. When the stars began to appear in the night sky, the lesson came to an end. The young man, his heart filled with gratitude, looked at his teacher with newfound respect. He realized that learning Tifana wasn't just about mastering symbols. It was about connecting to something bigger than himself, to a rich tapestry of culture, history, and tradition. And so the tradition continued, the knowledge passed down from one generation to the next, ensuring that the ancient art of writing Tifana lived on, whispering stories of resilience, identity, and cultural pride across the sands of time. The sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Berber village. A group of elders and children gather near a weathered stone fountain in the center of the village square. The air is filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation as the children play around the fountain, their games echoing the ancient rhythms of their culture. But as the light fades, the mood shifts. The children settle down, their laughter replaced by hushed whispers. The elders, their faces etched with the wisdom of years, begin to speak in low voices, sharing stories and knowledge with their young audience. One elder, his eyes twinkling with a lifetime of memories, holds up a smooth river stone. On its surface, etched by the relentless flow of time, are the markings of their alphabet, symbols that have echoed across generations. With a gentle touch, he traces the lines and curves, each stroke a link to their ancestral past. The children lean in, their eyes wide with wonder and anticipation. They know that this is no ordinary stone. It's a vessel of their heritage, a tangible connection to their roots. As the elder speaks, the symbols come alive, transforming from static marks to vibrant expressions of their culture, language, and identity. He tells them tales of bravery, resilience, and cultural pride, weaving narratives that make the symbols dance before the children's eyes. Each story adds another layer to their understanding, deepening their connection to their heritage. The children listen intently, their young minds absorbing the lessons embedded in the ancient script. For them, this isn't just a story. It's a rite of passage, a moment when they step closer to adulthood, embracing the responsibilities and privileges that come with it. As the night deepens, the circle tightens. The children, now closer to the elders, are enveloped in the warmth of their shared heritage. They ask questions, their voices echoing in the twilight, seeking to understand the deeper meanings behind the symbols. The elders, patient and kind, answer each question with wisdom and insight, ensuring that no query goes unanswered. Finally, as the last embers of daylight fade away, the circle breaks. The children, armed with newfound knowledge and a deeper sense of identity, return to their homes. The elders, their mission for the evening complete, settle back, their hearts filled with a quiet satisfaction. They know that the torch has been passed, that the next generation is ready to carry the burden and beauty of their heritage forward. As the stars emerge in the velvet sky, the Berber village sleeps soundly. Inside the homes, the teachings of the evening are echoed in whispered conversations. Parents share stories with their children, grandparents recount memories, and the symbols dance on the walls, not just as markings, but as living expressions of their culture. The cycle continues, ensuring that the ancient traditions remain vibrant and strong, binding the Berber people together through time and space. Tefina was more than a written language. It was woven into the rhythm of daily life. Market signs, home decorations, and family markers all bore the script. Its presence was a quiet reminder that community, memory, and identity were inseparable. In rituals, symbols became vehicles of connection. During festivals or ceremonies, markings would bless the harvest, honor ancestors, or guide journeys across the desert. Every etched or painted letter was a living prayer, linking individuals to generations long past. Apprentices learned to read the symbols in multiple contexts, on parchment, in sand, in carvings. The act of interpreting them fostered communal ties, as knowledge was shared through stories, songs, and teaching circles. In this way, the script was not isolated. It built social cohesion. Even when trade or migration brought challenges, Tefina remained a constant. Its careful transmission ensured that Berber heritage, wisdom, and communication persisted. Every mark preserved a fragment of history, keeping community and culture alive across generations. Now, let's see some examples of what these tattoos might look like in a traditional context. In the heart of a sun-drenched courtyard, a group of Berber women are gathered. Their task is both practical and ceremonial. They are hanging up freshly embroidered textiles outside their stone homes in a mountain village. It's a quintessential scene of daily life, yet it holds a deeper significance. Each piece of fabric is adorned with the Tifinagh script, acting as a silent storyteller. The script isn't just an aesthetic element. It's a living testament to the Berber identity, heritage, and connection to the land. One particular textile stands out, a vibrant blue cloth with white embroidered Tifinagh characters. The pattern isn't merely decorative. It holds within it messages, perhaps blessings for the household, historical narratives, or even genealogical records. The women understand these symbols deeply. They are not just decorative motifs, but a reflection of their cultural soul. As they hang each piece, they are simultaneously connecting with their ancestors and affirming their place in the community. But the story doesn't end there. The camera pans out, revealing the backdrop of this ritual. The women are situated in a picturesque mountain village. The houses are made of stone, each bearing the marks of time and the rugged terrain. The village is nestled amidst rolling hills and distant mountain peaks, showcasing the harmony between the Berber people and their natural This is more than a scene of daily life. It's a celebration of tradition, identity, and the enduring spirit of the Berber people. The next scene transports us to the heart of a traditional Berber festival. At the center of the celebration, a group of Berber youth are engrossed in an age-old practice. On large pieces of cloth laid on the ground, they are drawing Tifinagh symbols. Their movements are precise and deliberate, each stroke carrying with it the weight of cultural significance. The act of creating these symbols isn't just about aesthetics, it's a profound connection to heritage. The firelight flickers, casting dancing shadows around them. The rhythmic chants and drums of traditional Berber music fill the air, providing a mesmerizing backdrop to this ritualistic practice. The youth are not merely drawing lines and shapes, they are inscribing stories, myths, and prayers, each curve and angle echoing with the voices of their ancestors. The scene is imbued with a sense of reverence and respect for the cultural legacy. In the periphery, a group of elders observe silently, their faces etched with the stories of a life well lived, their eyes reflecting the flickering flames and the deep meaning of the ongoing ceremony. They are not just spectators, but living repositories of cultural memory, ensuring the continuity of traditions that have stood the test of time. The scene encapsulates the essence of cultural transmission, where the younger generation, under the watchful eyes of the elders, keeps the flame of tradition burning brightly. It's a testament to the power of community, the strength of cultural identity, and the beauty of a heritage that finds expression in every stroke of a symbol drawn in firelight. This scene takes us to the heart of a Berber village in the Sahara. A group of children are gathered together, their eyes bright with curiosity and wonder. In front of them lies a vast expanse of sand dunes, a seemingly endless playground under the scorching sun. But for these children, the dunes are more than just sand. They are a canvas, a surface on which they can etch their history, their culture, and their dreams. The children are tracing Tifinagh symbols in the sand. Their small hands create impressions that become permanent parts of the landscape. The symbols, ancient and enigmatic, take on a new life as they imprint themselves on the soft, yielding surface. It's a baptism of sorts, an initiation into a world where the written word becomes one with nature itself. As they work, the children chant traditional Berber songs. The melodies echoing across the dunes carry with them tales of their ancestors, stories that have been passed down through generations. The songs become a harmonious backdrop to the visual spectacle of symbols taking shape on the sandy terrain. Behind the children, the Saharan dunes stretch endlessly, forming a majestic backdrop to this timeless activity. The harsh beauty of the desert, with its undulating sand formations and clear azure skies, underscores the resilience and adaptability of the Berber people who have called this region home for centuries. It's a powerful image of cultural continuity, of how traditions not only survive but thrive in the most challenging of environments. The children aren't just playing or learning. They are becoming active participants in preserving their cultural heritage, ensuring that the ancient art of Tifinagh stays alive in their hearts and on the sands of the Sahara. Our final scene is set in the heart of a Berber settlement at night. A group of families are gathered around a central fire, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the flames. The air is filled with the scents of traditional food and the sounds of lively conversation and laughter. Children chase each other playfully, their joyous shouts echoing in the open space. It's a quintessential image of community and togetherness. But as the night deepens, the atmosphere shifts. The adults turn their attention to a central figure, an elder respected for his wisdom and knowledge. He holds in his hands a wooden tablet etched with Tifinagh inscriptions, symbols that have echoed through generations. With the firelight reflecting in his eyes, the elder begins to teach. His voice, though raspy with age, carries the weight of tradition and experience. Around him, the younger members of the community, eager to learn, lean in, their faces filled with curiosity and respect. The scene is one of quiet reverence, a testament to the importance of preserving cultural heritage. The elder patiently explains the meanings behind each symbol, each stroke, each curve, telling a story, sharing a piece of history. The youth listen intently, absorbing not just the words, but the spirit of their cultural legacy. Overhead, the star-studded desert sky serves as a timeless backdrop, mirroring the ancient wisdom being shared below. In the distance, the silhouettes of the stone houses stand as silent witnesses to the continuity of tradition. The scene encapsulates the essence of cultural transmission, the responsibility and privilege of passing down knowledge from one generation to the next. It's a reminder of the vital role elders play in preserving cultural identity and the dedication required to ensure that traditions endure. And so, our journey through the world of Tifinagh comes to an end. We've seen it in action, its presence woven into the fabric of everyday life, celebrations, rituals, and moments of quiet learning. More than just a script, Tifinagh is a cultural lifeline connecting generations, preserving traditions, and defining an identity. In the high Atlas Mountains, hidden away from prying eyes and outsider interference, there exists a village frozen in time. Its mud brick houses huddle around a central square like gossiping friends, sharing stories with each other. There is no king's palace or sultan's mansion, no seat of power for an emperor to occupy. For here, in this Berber village, leadership is not a place, it is a meeting. As we unravel the secrets of their unique brand of leadership, prepare to be amazed by a tale that echoes through the corridors of history, a testament to resilience and adaptation. This is the story of the Berbers, the people whose very identity is entwined with the ever-shifting sands of leadership. Unlike the sweeping narratives of empires and conquerors, the story of the Berbers is a subtle melody played out across millennia. To truly understand their journey, we must discard the crutch of hindsight, setting aside the knowledge of their eventual fate. Instead, let us peer back across the waves of time to a period before Genghis Khan set his sights on the steppes, before the armies of Rome marched into Britannia, before the drums of empire echoed across distant shores. let us return to a time when the world was a mosaic of independent tribes and city-states. Among these, the Berbers of North Africa held a unique position. Their social structure a reflection of the harsh yet enchanting landscapes they called home. For the Berbers, leadership was not a birthright, nor was it a prize to be seized. It was a delicate balance, a tightrope walk between kinship ties, trust forged in the crucible of shared experiences, and ritualized authority bestowed upon those deemed worthy. To comprehend the intricacies of this system, one must first envision the tribal council, the beating heart of Berber governance. Picture a vast desert or a windswept mountain pass. The sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows over the assembled tribesmen. The elders, their faces etched with the wisdom of countless seasons, sit in a circle on woven mats. Behind them stand the warriors, their spears and swords glinting in the last rays of sunlight, ready to defend, to hunt, or to fight. It is here, in this setting that mirrors the drama of life itself, that decisions are made that will impact the lives of every member of the tribe. The council might debate where caravans will travel, which other tribes they should form alliances with, or even whether to rise up against a foreign ruler. It is a sobering thought to realize that within this seemingly simple gathering lies the very essence of survival, where there is no king to guarantee safety, no monarch to enforce laws. The collective voice of the people becomes the bulwark against the chaos of the world. Yet to suggest that these councils were mere talking shops would be a disservice to the realities of the time. Life in the pre-imperial world was not a static affair. It was a turbulent sea of challenges, forcing adaptability and resilience. And so, while the council provided the forum for discussion, it was the warriors who ensured that the decisions made were not merely words in the wind, but carried the weight of action. These warriors were not just fighters. They were the embodiment of the tribe's soul, their status elevated by their deeds, their lineage celebrated in song and story. Each scar they bore, each victory they achieved, became a chapter in the unwritten history of their people. Imagine a young warrior returning from a successful hunt, the spoils slung across his mount, the echo of his bravery still ringing in the ears of the onlookers. His tale is not merely of personal triumph, but of the defense of the community, ensuring that the tribe's survival was not left to luck or the whims of nature. Yet, while their martial prowess brought them prestige, it was their adherence to a strict honor code that truly set them apart. Picture a gathering of warriors around a campfire under the star-studded expanse of the desert night. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on their faces as they discuss the delicate balance between courage and restraint, between righteous anger and measured response. For these warriors, the concept of honor was not a mere abstract ideal. It was a living, breathing entity that guided their actions, shaping them into the cornerstones of their society. Their code of conduct was as intricate and unforgiving as the terrain they inhabited, demanding unwavering loyalty, unflinching bravery, and stoic endurance in the face of adversity. To understand the depth of their commitment, consider the oath they took, a vow that transcended personal glory and placed the collective good above all else. They pledged to stand by their kin, to protect the weak, to respect their elders, and to uphold the traditions that had been passed down to them. More than just words, these vows were a way of life. In a world without codified laws, it was the warriors who embodied the unwritten rules of conduct, stepping in to settle disputes, to guide the young, and to ensure that the balance of the community was not tipped by unchecked emotions or personal vendettas. But the true test of their mettle came when faced with external threats, When rival tribes encroached on their lands, or foreign armies threatened their way of life, these warriors became the first line of defense, their bodies forming a shield wall against the onslaught, their swords flashing in the sunlight as they fought to preserve their way of life. And when victory was won, or hard-fought peace was established, it was these warriors who negotiated the terms, their words carrying the weight of their formidable reputations. Thus, the warrior aristocracy of the Berbers emerged not just as protectors, but as integral members of their communities, their roles extending far beyond the battlefield. They were storytellers, law enforcers, negotiators, and above all, paragons of virtue, embodying the ideals that their society held dear. But even amidst this tightly knit social fabric, there existed a constant undercurrent of fluidity, a reminder that nothing in life was absolute, not even the bonds that united them. For the Berber tribes, spread as they were across vast deserts and towering mountain ranges, knew all too well that unity was their strength, yet also their most fragile asset. Picture a gathering of tribal leaders under the scorching sun, their weathered faces etched with the hardships of their nomadic existence. Around them are their retainers, each bearing witness to the intricate dance of diplomacy and self-interest that is about to unfold. For while the Berbers understood the necessity of unity, forging alliances with neighboring tribes to counter outside threats and expand their influence, maintaining those alliances was a precarious balancing act. Each tribe brought with it a multitude of considerations: their size, their location, their internal dynamics, and their individual interests. And so, a grand alliance, in essence, was a tapestry woven from a myriad of threads, each just as important as the last, yet each threatening to unravel at the slightest touch. To secure these alliances, the Berbers employed a variety of tools. Marriages between families of different tribes, solemn oaths sworn under sacred groves, and a shared commitment to common ventures such as trade caravans. Yet, beneath this veneer of cooperation, the potential for fracture was always present. The allure of greater power, the weight of old grudges, or the whisper of foreign gold was enough to tempt even the most steadfast allies. Thus, leadership in this context meant not only inspiring the tribes to unite, but also holding together the fragile web of agreements that bound them. It demanded a delicate touch, a keen understanding of the motivations and fears of each participating tribe, and the ability to navigate treacherous waters where trust was a luxury and betrayal lurked around every bend. Furthermore, the Berbers did not merely seek alliances with other tribes. They also engaged in a complex dance with the natural world around them. The harsh yet enchanting landscapes they inhabited demanded respect and cooperation. Imagine a group of elders standing at the edge of a parched watering hole, their gazes fixed on the horizon where sand dunes shimmered under the merciless sun. Their task is not just to lead their people, but to ensure their very survival in the face of a capricious climate. They must make decisions that balance the needs of their people, the demands of their livestock, and the fragile equilibrium of the ecosystem they depend upon. It is a heavy burden, one that requires not just strength or cunning, but a deep-rooted connection to the land and its rhythms. And so leadership among the Berbers emerges not as a singular, monolithic entity, but as a dynamic interplay of tribal councils, warrior aristocracies, and a fluid system of alliances. It is a system that may appear chaotic from the outside, but whose very complexity is its strength, allowing it to thrive for centuries in a world that seems intent on keeping it broken. In the end, it is this inherent flexibility, this ability to adapt and negotiate that enables the Berbers to survive the turmoil of the centuries and continue to tell their timeless tales across the shifting sands of history. and allowed them to flourish in a world often resistant to their success. The power of the Berbers wasn't just found in their council decisions or battlefield victories. It was woven into the fabric of their everyday life, expressed in feasts, gift-giving, and most importantly, ceremony. The subtle choreography of politics played out against the backdrop of ritual, where each gesture had multiple meanings. Each bow and handshake was a silent negotiation. A leader's authority was announced not just with words, but with actions that spoke volumes about loyalty, lineage, and the bonds of mutual interest. Imagine, if you will, a vast desert landscape, golden sand dunes stretching as far as the eye can see. The sun beats down mercilessly, shimmering heat waves distorting the world into a mirage. At the center of it all, nestled in the shade of a great tent, sits a chieftain, a leader of the Berbers. A man whose power isn't just derived from the strength of his arms, but from the intricate web of alliances and agreements he's carefully crafted over years. Around him sit his advisors, men who've earned their place through years of service and loyalty. They are a council of elders, a group whose collective wisdom is as vast as the desert itself. Their faces, etched with the passage of time, are a testament to their experience, their eyes reflecting the countless sagas and stories of their nomadic past. But today is no ordinary day. Today, a caravan master is seeking an audience. He's a man of trade, a merchant whose lifeblood is the flow of goods across the Sahara. His caravan has brought back treasures from distant lands, spices from the south, silks from the east, and he wishes to pay homage to the chieftain, to reaffirm the ties that bind their fates together. This isn't just a social call, it's a transaction of sorts, a delicate dance of give and take that's been the bedrock of their society for generations. As the caravan master approaches, the chieftain rises to greet him, an act of respect, a gesture of hospitality deeply ingrained in their culture. The two men embrace, their voices echoing the unspoken understanding they share, a bond forged in the fires of countless challenges they've faced together. Once they're seated, the chieftain offers the guest a cup of mint tea, a symbol of welcome, a gesture as old as their history. The caravan master accepts, his eyes gleaming with the promise of the tales he's come to share. He speaks of his travels, of the bustling markets he's visited, of the fortunes he's helped amass for many a merchant. But his words carry another meaning, a hidden current of subtext that flows beneath the surface. He's paying tribute to the chieftain, reminding him of the value he brings, the role he plays in securing these trade routes, making it clear that his presence here is as much a necessity as it is a courtesy. In return, the chieftain listens intently, his gaze steady and sharp, absorbing every word. He nods occasionally, not just as a sign of understanding, but as a way of showing his support, of reassuring the merchant that his patronage is unwavering. This isn't a casual exchange. It's a display of power, a subtle reminder of the intricate balance that holds their society together. For the Berbers, power wasn't just about force or conquest. It was about control, control of resources, respect, and above all, reciprocity. They lived by the principle of give and take, where every action had an equal and opposite reaction. And nowhere was this more evident than in their relationship with the merchant elite, the caravan masters and salt barons who moved across the vast expanse of the Sahara. The desert was their domain. These men knew every dune, every oasis, every secret wind that whipped across the sand. They were the lifeline of the Berbers, bringing in the goods that sustained their communities, the salt from the distant mines, the gold from the south, the silver from across the Mediterranean, all items that held not just economic value, but were symbols of power and prestige. In return, the tribal leaders offered them something equally valuable: protection. They secured the routes, ensuring the caravans could travel safely, warding off bandits and rival tribes who sought to disrupt their trade. This symbiotic relationship was the backbone of Berber society, a testament to their understanding of the value of partnerships. But this wasn't a simple transactional relationship. There was a layer of complexity that set it apart. Each interaction, whether a caravan setting out on a journey or returning home laden with riches, was imbued with ritual, a blend of tradition and symbolism that elevated trade to the level of ceremony. This fusion of commerce and custom was a key aspect of Berber culture, a reflection of their deep-rooted respect for tradition and their keen understanding of human psychology. Picture a caravan returning to the chieftain's camp after a successful trading journey. The air buzzes with excitement, the desert wind carrying whispers of profit and adventure. As the caravan enters the camp, it's met with a sight that fills the travelers with a sense of pride and accomplishment. The chieftain stands at the entrance of his tent, his figure silhouetted against the setting sun. His presence alone signifies the importance of the moment. The caravan master steps forward, his face beaming with the joy of a mission accomplished. He presents the chieftain with gifts, not just as offerings, but as tokens of gratitude, a way of saying thank you for your protection, for your support, for your belief in our venture. The gifts might be various, depending on the nature of the trade. Perhaps dates from the south, ostrich feathers as light and airy as the desert winds, or jewelry that glitters like the stars that blanket the night sky. The chieftain accepts these gifts with dignity, each gesture laden with meaning. He doesn't just take the offerings, he acknowledges them, thanking the caravan master for his efforts, praising his team for their hard work and resilience. In doing so, he's not just being polite, he's affirming the importance of their partnership, reminding everyone that their success is intertwined. This exchange is more than a personal interaction between a leader and a subject. It's a public display of power, a demonstration of the strength that comes from unity, from the bond between the tribal leader and the merchant elite. It's a reminder to any outsider that this alliance is unbreakable, forged in the fires of countless challenges and strengthened by the shared prosperity they've achieved together. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desert, the celebration begins. The camp comes alive with music and laughter, the rhythmic beat of drums mingling with the excited chatter of the crowd. Food is served not just as sustenance, but as a symbol of shared prosperity. Roasted lamb, sweet couscous, dried fruits that glisten like jewels under the moonlight, all partake in the feast. The chieftain, the merchant, the warriors and commoners, united in their joy. It's a night of camaraderie, a celebration of the bonds that tie them together, a testament to their shared history and a toast to their future endeavors. Under the vast canopy of stars, the desert night echoing with the sounds of celebration. The Berbers reaffirm their traditions, their culture and their unbreakable spirit. Theirs is a society where power isn't just about dominance, but about partnership, where rituals aren't just about tradition, but about the transactions of power, and where feasts aren't just about food, but about unity and prosperity. It's about creating a shared identity that binds them together in the face of the unforgiving desert, where survival and supremacy are intertwined in a delicate balance. In this world, the line between a caravan master and a chieftain isn't just drawn by social status, but blurred by their interdependence, showing that in the heart of the Sahara power isn't just taken, it's earned, given, and celebrated in equal measure. Even in the wide deserts and mountain fortresses of the Berber world, power was rarely secure. Behind the open rituals of blessing caravans and hosting feasts, a quieter and sharper game unfolded, the game of intrigue. Tribal councils could be split by whispered alliances, and even within families, the bond of blood often clashed with the hunger for supremacy. A brother could become a rival, a cousin, an enemy, and a trusted advisor, the very knife in the dark. The shadows of power gathered not only in the council tents, but in the markets and caravanserais. Merchants who felt excluded from favor might turn to rival chiefs, offering their caravans as bargaining chips. Warriors slighted in ceremony could pledge themselves to new patrons. Even women of influence, wives, mothers, or daughters of chiefs could tilt the balance with a whispered word, a well-placed gift, or a hidden alliance sealed in secret. It was a delicate balancing act. The Berber elite carefully cultivated images of authority. They lavished hospitality on guests, hosted feasts, and participated in religious ceremonies to reinforce their status and legitimacy. But these public displays of power were only part of the story. In private, the struggle for influence was constant. Rivalries simmered, alliances were tested, and ambitions openly or secretly. Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine the flickering light of a campfire, the air filled with the scent of roasting meat and wood smoke, and the murmur of voices carrying tales of adventure and intrigue from across the desert. The crackling fire casts dancing shadows on the faces of the storytellers, their words painting vivid pictures of a world where power is a game of shifting alliances and hidden agendas. Behind the facade of unity, the Berber leaders kept a wary eye on potential threats. A slight to a subordinate, a rebuffed marriage proposal, or even a whispered rumor could ignite a storm of resentment. And it wasn't just external rivals they guarded against. Within the close-knit web of family ties and tribal affiliations, ambition often ran high. Sons, grandsons, cousins, brothers, and even full siblings were not exempt from the pursuit of power. In the intricate game of Berber politics, the bonds of kinship could be both a source of strength and a vulnerability. While family ties provided a foundation of support, they also created a breeding ground for rivalry. As resources were limited and power was concentrated, competition for dominance within families was inevitable. Sons aspiring to surpass their fathers, cousins vying for control of clan lands, brothers locked in a struggle for supremacy. These internal power struggles often played out in subtle ways, through strategic marriages, shrewd business deals, or by cultivating a loyal following among the warriors and advisors. Berber society was predominantly patriarchal and primogeniture. The passing of leadership to the eldest son was the common practice among most tribes. However, the path to inheritance was not always smooth. Younger sons, denied the title of chieftain, were not without agency. They could, and often did, carve out their own paths to influence. Some turned to trade or scholarship, amassing wealth or knowledge that gave them leverage in tribal affairs. Others sought positions of authority outside their immediate family, becoming generals in their brother's army or influential advisors to neighboring chiefs. In rare cases, ambitious younger sons might even challenge the primogeniture system, igniting conflicts that shook the foundations of tribal hierarchy. But it wasn't just about blood ties. Among the Berbers, one could rise or fall based on nothing more than a whisper, a shift in allegiances, or the favor of a charismatic leader. To stay ahead, one had to anticipate moves, make calculated choices, and cultivate a network of allies. It was a high-stakes game where missteps could lead to ostracism, exile, or worse, death. Women, too, played a crucial role in the intricate dance of Berber politics. While they might not have held chieftain titles, their influence was undeniable. As the wives, mothers, or daughters of chiefs. They navigated the world of tribal intrigue with skill. A woman of influence could sway her husband's decisions, shape alliances through strategic marriages, or broker peace deals between rival factions. Their ability to navigate the complexities of tribal politics, combined with their intimate knowledge of family dynamics and community interests, made them key players in the pursuit of power. Imagine a grand tribal council, a sea of faces gathered under the scorching sun. A young man, eager to prove himself, stands up to speak, his words echoing the concerns of his people. Suddenly, a woman, her eyes sharp and voice commanding, rises from the crowd. She counters his arguments, each word carefully chosen, exposing the flaws in his reasoning. The crowd murmurs, intrigued by her insights. The young man, taken aback, responds, but his words lack the conviction of hers. Slowly, the tide of opinion turns. It's a testament to her prowess in the art of persuasion. Whether advocating for her family's interests, championing community causes, or seeking to shape the future of her tribe, her presence is a force to be reckoned with. Power was a chessboard where everyone was a pawn, knight or queen, ready to make their move. In this intricate game, every decision, every interaction was laden with meaning. The Berber world was a place where the quest for supremacy was a constant undercurrent, shaping alliances, fueling rivalries, and testing the limits of loyalty. While power struggles were rife, they rarely pushed the Berber society to the brink of collapse. Councils, though fractured by rivalries, usually reformed, finding ways to rebuild trust and forge ahead. Blood feuds, while intense, often had a lifespan of a generation, eventually giving way to the need for collective action. Even broken alliances were mended, rivalries sometimes reforged into cooperation. The Berber world had an uncanny ability to absorb shocks, to heal rifts, and to move forward, ensuring the survival of their unique culture amidst the shifting sands of power. This resilience was not just in their political systems, but in their daily lives. From the sturdy tents that endured harsh weather to the deep-rooted traditions that guided their society, the Berbers embodied tenacity in the face of challenges. Each challenge was a test, each obstacle a chance to adapt and grow, making their culture not just a survivor, but a thriving force in the heart of North Africa. The Berber world was not a place where power was handed on a platter. It was earned, negotiated, and sometimes violently seized. Theirs was a society where everyone, from the lowliest trader to the most senior chieftain, had the potential to rise or fall based on their actions, decisions, and the shifting winds of alliances. It was a world of constant engagement, where the boundaries between friend and foe, between cooperation and conflict, were as fluid as the dunes under the scorching desert sun. And so we return from our long journey through the lives of the Berber nomads. We have walked with them across shifting sands and along stony mountain paths. We have felt the weight of thirst and hunger, the chill of desert nights, and the ever-present danger of raids and betrayal. Yet we have also witnessed resilience, how communities endured, how women guided trade and diplomacy, how an alphabet like Tifana kept memory alive, and how leaders wove alliances from the fragile fabric of loyalty. The story of the Berber nomads is not one of ease, but of endurance. They carved out existence where the land seemed determined to refuse it. They carried not only goods across the Sahara, but also stories, symbols, and identities that would survive long after the caravans faded into dust. Their councils, their intrigues, their songs and rituals all were part of the great balancing act of survival between desert and mountain. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath the stars. It's just you, me, the fire, and the vastness of the night sky full of stars. Can you feel the coolness of the desert night on your skin? Hear the crickets chirping their timeless song. It's a symphony of the void, a lullaby of the endless night. This place, this moment, it's more than just a pause in our journey. It's a tribute to those who lived on the edge of endurance, who turned hardship into a way of life, who found community in the heart of the unforgiving desert. It's a celebration of the human spirit that refuses to be broken by the harshness of the world. As we sit here, I want you to think about the Berbers, the Tuaregs, the Kelhagar, the Mozabites, the Sanhaja, the Zanata, all those who call this vast expanse of sand and rock their home. Their lives were a constant negotiation with the forces of nature. Every drop of water, every grain of food, every breath of air was hard-won. Yet they not only survived, they thrived. They built communities, raised families, and left behind a legacy that speaks to the tenacity of the human spirit. Their story is both a caution and an inspiration. It's a warning of the fragility of existence in the face of a relentless environment, but also a testament to the strength of the human spirit that refuses to be cowed by adversity. It's a reminder that even in the harshest of environments, life finds a way to not only survive, but to flourish. Theirs is a story that echoes through time, resonating with anyone who has ever faced the odds and refused to give in. So let us raise our metaphorical hands in a final salute to the Berber nomads, the true children of the desert, the masters of the dunes, the survivors of the Sahara. And now, let the desert quiet return. Let the whispers of caravans fade into the wind, and let the stars above guide you into gentle rest. You are now under baobab skies,